Hi guys, hope you're all well. Ink Fitness Guy, fit at 40, push yourself to success. It's Sunday the 2nd of May, I'm back on the bars today. Going to be doing 705 repetitions in total, 47 sets, 15. So let's get cracking with that. Obviously, it's the highest number of sets I've ever done on the bars. You know, I've been slowly kind of increasing it over the last month or so, and I want to get up now to the just above the 700 mark. You know, I want to get it up to where my push-ups are, and you know, feel a nice sense of achievement actually getting up to the 700. You know, it's been something I wanted to do for a while, to be honest. I wanted to get up to that number, but it's a lot harder for me on the bars. You know, I've got to slowly increase it little bit by little bit at a time. You know, and it has taken me a while to be able, hopefully, to get up to this number today. So it's obviously going to be a big achievement for me today, and it's nice to hit that number. You know, it's not like I don't kind of purposely set targets or numbers as such. It's just, no matter what I've done, I think hitting a certain number is an achievement. So for example, obviously if you're doing 1,000 reps or something, then it sounds you know, as if it's planned really, by me saying 250, 500, 750, 1,000, but it's not. It's obviously, it's like a quarter of each one, but that number is just nice. You know, it's nice to hit the 250 mark first of all. It's nice to hit the 500 mark, because you know you're halfway. And obviously 750 is 3/4 of the way, and obviously the 1,000 is as you're there. But for me today, hitting over the 700 mark is kind of getting me out of that area where I've been for so long, you know, around the 500-600 mark. So even though it's not quite 3/4 of the way there, it's within touching distance of that. And you know, again, that is a big achievement, a big step to where I've got to be. And you know, even doing smaller numbers in different workouts. Say for example, if you're doing 100 repetitions of, say, 20 sets, sets of 20 crunches for your stomach. So you'd obviously, but hitting that 100 mark is a big achievement. You know, it's so I think every sort of workout, you know, whether you do it doing high numbers or low numbers, I think everybody will have a kind of target along the way. They'll have certain numbers that they know when they get to will be an achievement in itself. So and yeah, for me, obviously, when I started this training, my pulls were, I think I started around 240 mark on my pulls. So I've kind of tripled that now, really. You know, so it's massive progress in just about 6 weeks of training. So you know, I just wanted to, as I say, at that kind of milestone for me today, really. Again, I think when you're training for something with such high amount of repetitions, then, you know, I think when I hit the 800, 850 mark, from then on, it's not a massive amount of difference to get up to the thousands. So, you know, when you're kind of 600, you still feel quite a way away from it, to be honest. But say eating in by that extra 100 to it, then it's definitely within the distance then what you can kind of see. And you know, sometimes things can seem so far away. You know, and probably they are in some aspects, you know, but again, I think if you break things down into a kind of different target areas, then definitely helps you to reach the point where you're actually heading for, you know. Set yourself little targets along the way, little goals, and gradually keep increasing them. And once you do that, obviously then you're getting closer and closer to your target. You know, you're building more and more to where you've got to be. So don't always look at that top end, the furthest goal you're trying to achieve, because sometimes it can seem so far away. Little steps along the way will get you there. As I say, make yourself kind of aware of what you're actually achieving as you're going along. You know, it's not something that you have to only praise yourself, obviously, when you achieve the end goal, because that might not never happen anyway. So make sure you're kind of realising what you're doing as you go along. You're recognising all your achievements as you're going, and you're definitely praising yourself and rewarding yourself as you're doing it as well. You know, and I think definitely you'll recognise improvements in your body as you're doing, obviously as you're doing things, as you're training more and more. I've definitely found my body's kind of leaning up more. It's becoming sort of a lot firmer, where I'd only kind of get that feeling off my weight training before, but now I can definitely see more kind of definition in my shoulders and upper back, as well as my biceps and triceps, you know. So all the repetition work is paying off in that sense as well, and obviously it's improving different things also on my body as well. I mean, obviously for the bars, massive improvement as the grip strength. I mean, obviously every time I do a set, I'm gripping onto the bar, I'm holding my body weight to begin with, and then I'm obviously pulling my body weight up then, controlling it isn't going up and down. So, and the grip strength is obviously needed for that. If you can't grip onto the bar and hold your own weight, and you can't do the exercise, you know, it's as simple as that really. You could be strong and fit, but if you can't grip it, you won't be able to do this exercise. You know, and you can actually feel your body, your grip improving as well as you're training the more and more. Definitely feel more strength in my fingers and hands from doing that, you know. So you can take them as well, and that's another positive benefit there, obviously. So, you know, you can use that as some motivation as well, and yeah, you know, it's all good, it's all positive. So I did feel a little niggle the other day actually in the last couple of sets on my push-ups, which I do sometimes get, but because I'm using the opposing muscles today, I'm not really feeling it, to be honest. You know, it's actually amazing how many people train for things, how many people carry on with little injuries and things, and you just have to, you know, obviously if it's something to the point where you can't do it, then obviously you've got to stop. But if it is something you can, you know, just continue with, then you've got to try and do that. I mean, when I've had my injuries through training, I've still gone work, you know, I haven't had any time off work. I've had to work, I've had to do my job, even though I was struggling to do it. But that's just what you have to do, you know. You can't not do things, you have to do it. You have to keep yourself going and keep motivated if you can. You know, and as I say, we all work through niggles, I think, and we all carry on with the training through niggles. You just have to hope you don't get injuries too serious that they can affect your workouts to the point you can't do them at all. So, you know, sometimes when I do exercises now, I will feel I wouldn't say a twinge, but you know, a feeling that I know something ain't 100%. But very often when I start training, actually that goes. So after 5 or 6 sets, that it makes it better, you know. So for me, training is actually helping the slight niggles and things, because as we say, after a while you get into your workout, you forget it, and your body warms up, you're working the muscles. And yeah, it's I think it's part and parcel of training, to be honest, and part and parcel of getting older. I think you know, there's very few people who could go through, you know, 40, 50 years of training without no injuries, without any niggles. Doesn't have to be major, but the slight smallest kind of twitches and twinges and muscle pulls and things, I'm sure, as I say, most people will get one or two of them throughout the training regime, if they're lucky, really. You know, a lot of people have some quite serious injuries and they can't continue with the training, or they have to have a big break from the training. So I think little niggles that you can actually manage to train with are, you know, in a way you're kind of lucky there, really. So yeah, I mean, I remember the first injury I had, I was kinda, you know, I was worried because I'd never really felt anything like that, and that was kind of my neck injury, you know. But again, after putting the collar on, after a week's rest, I was able to do it then, and I continued working throughout that period. I just didn't train for a week or so, and then with me torn rotator cuff, that was a bad injury for me, really, because you know, I'd never felt nothing like that, and I couldn't move my arm up there, literally. When I did it, I couldn't do lateral raises, I couldn't do bicep curls, couldn't do anything really weight wise for a couple of weeks. So I was in a state of you know, quite deep anxiety, actually, and worry. So but I think, you know, I'm no medical expert at all, I'm no expert on anything, to be honest, but I think the body, in my opinion, has a kind of natural way of recovering itself, protecting itself, making itself stronger, and, you know, bringing itself back from injuries, and you know, trying its best to get it back to where it should be. So I think, you know, I think sometimes you just got to give it time, and things will heal. If not 100%, they'll heal to the point, you know, where you're capable of training, capable of doing what you can. So yeah, it's all, you know, it's all about just taking your time sometimes and waiting, letting the body repair itself sometimes. And yeah, you know, it says the time when you're injured is a worrying time for somebody whose training's a lifestyle, really. You know, it's difficult to sometimes it's difficult to appreciate what you do day in, day out, and you just kind of get, you get in a routine and you get in a sort of state where you're not sometimes recognising what you're doing. You just kind of take for granted what you can do, and it isn't until some sort of injury that you actually realise, you know, and you try and do something that you do on a daily basis and you can't do it. You know, it's until then really that you get quite a shock, and you know, it's quite difficult to accept sometimes. And yeah, you know, it's as I say, I've been lucky really with my injuries over the years, and I hope I don't have any more. I hope nobody gets injured, you know, training. It's not something I want to see. I don't want to see anybody hurt. I don't want to see anybody injured or not being able to do what they want to do. So, you know, you've got to, and as I say, the best way to avoid injury is definitely repetition, and getting your body used to what it's doing, which is exactly what I'm doing here. You know, I'm consistently doing sets and reps to a similar level all the time. I did big jump from 240 up to where I am now, but the last month I've been doing, you know, similar workouts, varying maybe by 100 reps or something, but no major leaps. You know, and that's obviously something what I'm doing to hopefully prevent injury, because if I just come in at this now and started doing, you know, I could say, for example, I didn't start training this till December, and I come in, started, you know, hitting 800 reps straight away, I'd probably get injured. Within that first month of training, I'd probably be injured before my challenge started, because, you know, you can't underestimate the time it takes to get your body ready for what you've got to do, no matter what it is you're doing, whether it's training related or work related. You know, it's all got to be a progressive process of strengthening the body and getting used to what you're doing. You know, it might seem silly, but something as small as kind of a bricklayer picking up a trowel full of compo. You know, if you're a young lad, 16, you've just left school, you know, you've gone college, you never picked up a trowel with compo on before, you'll struggle to pick it up. You will struggle to pick up a full trowel of compo, and you wouldn't think it looking at it, but you will. And you know, the first time I did it, I had to get off a trowel because my wrist wasn't used to holding that weight in that position. And the first couple of weeks of doing something, your wrists will ache. You just using this as an example, your wrists will ache, your grip will ache, your hands will ache, because you're not used to gripping things for that amount of time. And you will struggle, and you'll find even a process like that will take months and months and months to get your body prepared for that. Even that light amount of weight. you know, and obviously that extends up the body as well. You know, you got your wrist, your elbow, your arms, your shoulder, your back. You're kind of tensing everything to when you're picking that up. So, and it takes the body, you know, months and months to adapt to what you're doing. And obviously, when you become a professional bricklayer, you know, you're doing it day in, day out, you know, hundreds and thousands of times a day. So it's then your body's naturally knows what it's doing, it's used to it. Even picking bricks up, you know, with the other hand, if you haven't done that, just by doing that 100 times a day to start with, and your grip, you'll feel your grip, your hands will be sore, your fingers will be sore, your arm will be aching, your shoulder will probably be aching, your back, your legs, because you aren't used to being in them positions. So anything, you know, that your body is not used to, it will kind of counter back against that in a way. You know, and I think it may be kind of like a defence mechanism, you know, and it's just kind of warning you that, you know, it's not used to this, it's not done this before, it's not ready for this yet, and it kind of tells you to ease off, because, you know, if you do something like that and obviously you're aching, you've got to, the next day you've still got to go work, pick up that trowel and pick up the brick, so you've still got to get on with it, whether you're tired, you know, as I say, whether you're aching, but then, you know, after half an hour of doing them movements the next day, you won't ache then, you probably ache again the night time when you stop, and that process will repeat for a while. But then when your body's used to that, you'll go where you'll do it, and then you'll find one night that you won't ache, and then you probably won't ache again, because your body's used to it. You know, it's got used to that repetition of movements, then muscles have got used to working that way, so everything then it is warmed up, it knows what it's doing, and it's not a shock to the system. You know, and it's a good thing to put into anything you do, really, if you can, you know, take your time to practice what you're doing. Don't rush things, don't try and get somewhere you don't need to be too quickly, you know. There's no rush for anything. You've got years and years to get where you want to be, adapt your body, adapt your mind, you know, you're learning every day, you're practicing new things every day you're improving yourself. So, you know, take that advice as a given for anything, really. Practice, practice, practice. You know, one of my idols, Bruce Lee, once said, he doesn't fear the man who knows 1,000 kicks, he fears the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times, which is obviously referring to the more you do something, the better you become at it. So you could do 10 different things, say for a minute a day each, or you can do one thing for for 20 minutes a day, and obviously over time you're going to become better at that one thing than a whole other amount of things, not practice to the same level. So, you know, and obviously that is really sound advice when you think about it, you know. And as I say, no matter what sport you do or whatever you're training for, whether it is for a goal or just for yourself, then you will, you know, you will find that you will repeat things. Obviously, you'll practice things more and more. If you want to get better at something, you've got to do it time and time again. You know, there's some very gifted people out there who can do something and pick it up just like that, you know, and be a natural, be gifted, be naturally gifted at something, but they still need that repetition after that practice to improve, to perfect what they're doing. You know, and I don't think anybody ever perfects anything they do, to be honest. I think even some of the exercises I do, such as, you know, I wouldn't say the bar pulls, because I wouldn't say I'm a beginner on them, but I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm kind of advanced on them either. I would say my push-ups, obviously, I've been doing them for so long now, consistently, for almost 20 years, but even with them I haven't by nowhere near perfected them. You know, there's obviously the more reps I do, I'm improving each one I do. Each push-up I do, I'm actually, without noticing, I'm tweaking it ever so slightly. Your body is just kind of adapting that comfy position, that position it knows, each repetition. You know, and I bet if I actually watched all my videos, what I've done since I started training, the ones without really looking and focusing, visually it'd be very difficult to see any difference, I think, in any set I do. You know, I think the difference, it will be absolutely minimal, but again, you know, until you get that line, that exact position every time, then obviously I haven't perfected that technique or that exercise. So I don't think you ever will do. I think it's something to obviously aim for, something to achieve, but it's also something that, you know, if you can say to yourself you're not going to perfect anything, then you're always learning. If you get to that point where you think, oh yeah, I've perfected that now, I'm alright at that, I don't need to try and improve anymore, then you kind of lose something then, what you've gained. You know, I've seen instances myself of things where, you know, somebody's been doing it, just a little stretch off, somebody's been doing it kind of 5 years or something, and you know they kind of talking as though they're an expert, and then there's somebody who's been doing it 40, 50 years, and they're kind of talking as though they're just learning. And obviously you know who's right there and you know who's wrong, and you know, I think the humbleness of the person who recognises he's still got such a long way to go after so many years of training is obviously, you know, the kind of correct way to look at it, and the kind of better person in a way to acknowledge that, you know. You know, and I think, you know, I've seen instances of people where they do something and, you know, they'll train something for a while, and then they'll say to themselves, or they'll say to you, "Oh, I'm good at that now, let's move on to something else." And they kind of forget what they've done, and they don't. Then they stop practicing that one thing the same. And you know, if you've been practicing something for 3 months, even let's say twice a week, you're going to become good at it. But if you then stop doing that, it won't take your body long to, you know, fall out of remembering what it did. And you know, if you've been running for 3 months, say, and you're at the point now where you're not aching, you're not aching after runs, you're not aching before runs, you know, you're naturally adapted to what you're doing. If you have a month off running and then go for a run, I guarantee you'll be aching the next day. You know, and that's because your body builds up that resistance, it gets used to doing what it's doing, and you know, that's why it's so crucial and important to kind of carry on training, really. I mean, I myself, obviously, since I've taken up this challenge, the training for the challenge, you know, some of my other training's dropped down significantly, but I'm still making sure at the moment that I'm doing enough repetitions of them to make sure my body doesn't forget, my muscles don't forget, you know. And by me doing all these repetitions on the bars and my push-ups, in a way it's substituting me weight training, because even though it's not the same repetition of movement, it's still exercise. You know, I'm not just resting, I'm not not doing anything. So, you know, doing these pulls on the bar now, are obviously complementing my lat pull downs with my multi-gem or my bent over rows with my barbell, and as I say, even though they're not the same movement, I'm still using them muscles. So if I didn't do any lat pull downs on my multi-gem for a month, and then I went and did 5 sets, 6 sets, I don't think I'd be aching, because you know, I'm still getting the movement on these bars, still you're working the muscles. So you know, still doing, you know, exercise in other ways is obviously helping your body to remember where it's at and that, you know. And as I say, you know, it's about accepting what your body and mind are telling you, you know. I mean, I've started my high intensity training again over the last 3 weeks or so, since the lockdown, you know, kind of reopened slightly. So, and I found, even though I'm only doing that at a percentage of what I would do, because I don't want any injuries from that, you know, I'm finding my cardio is actually a lot better than I thought. I think by doing this endurance based long pulls on the bar and the long reps and sets of push-ups as well, it's building my cardiovascular training up as well to a very high level, without kind of realising that, you know. I haven't actually really found any aches off me going back into my training, what I haven't done for a few months, so I'm surprised at that. But that's kind of showing me that my body, working how I have been, has kind of prepared me for that without actually training that, you know. You know, don't get me wrong, I think if I went in and gave 100%, I think obviously I would be aching, I'd be, you know, really tired, really worn out, but the level I've been doing it at, and I'm really pleased with how my body's adapted back to that, you know. I was actually expecting things to be a lot tougher than they are, and you know, that's obviously a good sign. It's a good thing for me. It's a good place for me to be at. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with that, and you know, I'm pleased that my training has benefited me in that way and got me being able for me to ease back into that without any you know, kind of shocks to my body, shocks to my system. So that's gone all according to plan, really. Quite pleased with that. You know, it is sometimes because I remember over winter I went for a run, and I hadn't been for a run for probably 4 months, but I didn't take after or the next day, because even though my body wasn't used to running, it was used to training. And you know, I think obviously if you're used to training, then you do something else, your body's kind of adapted to that, as I say. So the shock to the system wouldn't be as major as it would be otherwise, you know. As I say, I've never done real high intensity training to the point where I've kind of can't breathe, or you know, I've collapsed on the floor where I can't get my breath. I'm totally worn out. I just don't. I've never done that kind of training. It's not something that I'm suited to, I don't think. I'm more suited to the long endurance workouts at an average kind of pace, you know. So you know, obviously when I went for that run, I didn't go out sprinting. I was kind of jogging, but it was at a decent pace, you know. So obviously if I was sprinting everywhere, I would be struggling for breath and that. But you know, that isn't how I train, like I say. And I know, you know, for example, I could go for a run tomorrow and I haven't ran since Christmas, but I could go for a run and not ache. I just take it at a nice steady pace. I could easily do 6-8 miles comfortably, and you know, not feel any side effects from that. And that's because my body and my muscles is used to other kind of training, if not specifically the running, as I say. So you know, and I think most things now are, you know, there's very few things that are just one dimensional. I mean, you could say what I'm doing is one dimensional really, push-ups and the bar pulls, but there's a lot more that goes into it than you kind of realise. You know, you've got to have, obviously you've got to have good grip strength for the bars, otherwise you just run out of grip, you won't be able to hold the bar. So you've got to have that, you've got to have a good core. You know, I haven't got a bulging six pack, but my core's strong, my muscles are strong in my stomach. You know, they're strong through the repetition of movements over the years of every kind of exercise. You know, weight training, no matter what exercise you do, you're bracing your core. So as I say, without pumping it to get the six pack abs, you're working it, you're conditioning it, you're strengthening it. You know, and that's obviously beneficial to what I'm trying to do here with the bars. You know, same with my legs. Even though I've got thin legs, I'm not technically really strong with my legs. I can't lift a great deal of weight on my legs, but I can, you know, my legs are strong even though they don't look strong. They know they can walk with weight, they can move with weight, they can move quick when they need to. I've got flexibility in my legs still, can still kick high, you know, and I'm flexible on my stretching and all that kind of things. What you don't see on the outside obviously are needed to perform these two exercises what I'm doing. You know, if you had a weak back, you wouldn't be able to do these pulls consistently to that repetition, because you need your body braced, you need your core, you need your back muscles, you need everything working together. You know, so sometimes you don't get to see really some of the things you need, you know, in some exercises that people do in some workouts. You know, it's just have another little stretch off. You do get an idea of these things. You know, you see people working out and you think, bloody hell, you know, he's fit, he must have good cardio, or bloody hell, he's strong, you know, he must have good shoulders or a good back. But until you actually do that exercise yourself and you know, actually put yourself in their position, you don't realise, sometimes you don't realise what's actually needed to do it and how hard it actually is to do that, you know. You know, it's like for me, I mean, obviously, when I look at like gymnasts, and I think to myself, bloody hell, you know, the amount of strength and power needed to do some of the things they do is unbelievable. And like, you know, I see blokes on the rings, and my first impression was obviously, bloody hell, they're phenomenally strong. But then, you know, when I process that against me doing this on the bars, and I'm feeling how difficult it is for me to do this, and then comparing that to what they do, which is probably 10 times harder, you know, it's given me more of an understanding of what they actually are going through. You know, and what they must have actually put the body through to get to that point where they can actually do it. You know, and when you start to appreciate that more, it's you know, your respect levels for them just goes up even more. You know, obviously the respect's there already. That's a given, really. I respect anybody who's sacrificed things, you know, to get where they are, to do what they love, and to become good at something. And whether that's training or work life or in general life, in any kind of aspect of daily living, really. You know, I respect anybody who's taking time out to try and perfect something, you know, work at something, and achieve what they have. And, you know, as I say, if you can do a bit yourself, though, it does put things more into perspective. You know, I mean, there is people who obviously, you know, train to the extreme and things, but you don't have to do that. Any amount of training, and you'll be able to appreciate what goes into something, you know, for some people. And as I say, sometimes you only see kind of the end product, or the race day, or the fight day, or the finale as such. You don't often see all the hard work behind the scenes, you know, and obviously that's even more crucial than the actual climax, really. You know, that is, without that preparation, you wouldn't be there. So yeah, up to 42 sets there. Whew, that's what it's working. Feel me grip now. Feel me grip tightening these last few sets now. Still relatively comfortable, you know, but just gets that little bit harder to hold the bar for the 15 reps, and you keep your body braced. You know, you can feel the difference as you go, and you get toward these higher sets. I mean, obviously you're going to get that with no matter what you do, the deeper you go into your workout, the more fatigued you're going to be. You know, the more laps you run of a race, the tighter you're going to get. The more rounds you do in a boxing match, the tighter you're going to get. The more weight you lift in a day, the tighter your body's going to get. You know, that's just how it is. You might not feel that, you might not notice that, but you know, I can guarantee you, if you're a strength athlete and you're lifting heavy weights, then you know you're not say if you're lifting 400k deadlift, you're not going to go in and practice doing 10 lifts of 400k in the morning before you do it, because you probably won't do it. You know, your body just being out. So as I say, you know, even though you might be able to lift them weights, you might feel good, then you could come to that and you might not be able to do it, because without realising, your body's just fatigued at doing that weight for so long. You know, it's like when I did the sets on the bars where I started on 20s and I dropped down to 10s. Obviously I dropped down when I become tired and I couldn't grip the 20 then, so but I'm not going to start, obviously I won't start doing sets of 10 and then go up to sets of 20, because I'd be even more fatigued quicker then, you know. Obviously my body will drop down what it's doing, not increase. So you know, obviously that's why I'm not, you know, as I say, I'm taking it on a slow, consistent build up with this routine I'm doing, with this training schedule I'm doing. You know, I mean, if you think if I did like what I've been doing now, if I was doing 1,000 repetitions every workout I've been doing so far, you know, as I say, I'd probably be injured by now. But if I wasn't, if I was doing 1,000 reps every workout all this year, just think of how many extra repetitions I've done there. Kind of needless repetitions, you know. I need to, as I say, get my body prepared to what I've got to do. I need to be at that level where I can go, yes, I'm ready. I don't need to be excelling at that for months and months beforehand. It's just pointless. I'm doing extra reps, you know, whereas doing it this way, I'm consistently building up and finding the kind of home for my body, really. So I'm down to my last set now. So this one set now will take me over 700 mark for the first time on the bar pulls. So massive achievement there. Really chuffed, feel good. Massive thank you to everybody who's been watching and subscribing, spreading the word, following the journey. Really appreciate everything. It's early days yet, you know, still building up. Still working hard, still progressing. Obviously the main challenge is yet to come, but you know, I thank everyone for the support. It means a lot. Thank you for taking time out of your lives to follow what's going on. Really appreciate it. There we go, guys. 47 sets, 705 in total. Just over an hour there, so a long time. But I expect that, you know, it's tough on the bars. Pleased with that. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon.